So while I obviously prefer to use Facebook lead generation ads because I'm impatient and I have a budget, a lot of people ask if there are ways to get free subscribers, and actually there are. It's just it's a lot more of a grind. It's a lot more work, obviously, than simply paying for them. But the good news is that it pretty much goes back to exactly what we did with our paid ad in this entire playbook. So whenever you think about the lead magnet in our entire sort of way that we designed that was to give away as much free help as possible. And on the internet, there are a plethora of places where you can give away free value. So this is probably something you've already heard about or know about or thought about, but I'm still going to go through some examples because the entire reason that you're here right now is most likely because you discovered me through this exact method. So this is a tweet that I threw up a year and a half ago, just setting the tone here. But providing high value for free is the fastest way to make money. It's the simplest concept, but still somehow lost. And none of us deserve anything. We earn what we want by giving others what they want first. And I'm not sitting here just trying to toot my own horn, but I strongly believe this. And I think, assuming you went through the entire course, you understand that's how generally I operate with things. So I'm going to take a step back from this tweet and go to September 1st. This was whenever I decided to challenge myself personally to go to Twitter and just see how big of a following I could grow. I had no intentions. I was just trying to get followers by giving away information. So this is a super cheesy opening, but it was basically a way I was kind of mocking the thread boys, so to speak. But we're going to see in a minute why that works so well. So mock them or not, it works. But I thought this was a very underrated thread because I don't think that this part resonated very well, and it just seemed kind of cheesy, and I had just come back to Twitter. This was day one. So I gave away a whole bunch of information here, and you can see the likes on these aren't incredible, but it did okay. So this was just, again, me giving away free content and moving forward a little bit. Here's another one a few days later. This is my first money-making website from 2005. Choose something you love, cover it better than everyone else, stay consistent. This was my very first money-making website. So I'm sharing this one in particular. As you can see, they're starting to perform better already. I'm sharing this one because it checks two boxes that I think are very important. Number one, make whatever you post, make it personal and make it relatable. That's number one. And number two, be sure to provide a unique and valuable insight. So as you can see from this, it's it's an inside glimpse. It's something that I personally did, along with simple and straightforward advice. So I wasn't really doing anything here other than kind of watching followers grow because I was starting to share some interesting things. But it was on this day, September 10th, so I'm only 10 days in, that I tweeted that I'm convinced that with 20K, I can build a website that sells for 500,000 in a year. Is this a challenge I should take and show everything along the way? Higher stakes, I only get to work on it 2 hours. So this one obviously took off, went pretty wild, and I decided to go ahead and do the challenge, which again is what brought me all the way to creating this course. So this is the one where I announced that I was going to do it, and I started my newsletter. And I gained, not from this one tweet, but over the next, say, I think 3 or 4 weeks of consistently tweeting updates, it grew to, it's now about 5,800 subscribers, which might not seem like too many, but it's quite a bit for A, being free, and B, being a very specific audience that's looking to do a very specific thing. So you already know that people do this. One person that does it extremely well is Justin Welsh. He's very, very consistent. I thought this tweet was good, but more importantly, he always follows up with where you can sign up for his newsletter. And he's obviously grown it to 200,000 people. He's making, I don't know, last I looked, he was making a couple million a year as a one person operation, which is awesome. And this strategy works. And again, you really have to be consistent. You have to find your groove. You have to find what resonates with people. But at the end of the day, he's giving away value, and in return, people want more of that value, so they give up their email address. It's the same exact thing that we did with the Facebook ad, except it's free. So thinking in the terms of the thriving introvert, for example, and I didn't spend a lot of time, but I went to Reddit and I went to their introvert subreddit, and I found this one. I'm not going to read all this, but basically it's an introvert who is rambling, as it says, about his sales job, because he ends it by saying, "I don't think I'm going to make it in sales, LOL." So this is a post that I could pretty easily reply to with some valuable, helpful advice. And then I could subtly, and this part is very important because you will get banned, I could subtly, casually plug my newsletter as if I'm recommending it recommending somebody else's newsletter. A lot of people do this, and again, it's a fine line. You have to really deliver a lot of value, a lot of help, and then very subtly suggest the newsletter. And I've heard of people growing, pretty well with that, as many as 50 new subscribers if your comment becomes number one. But again, this takes work, but it's also why it's so important that you choose something that you love, because if you love it, then you're happy to go around the internet helping people anyway. So, just think about your help being the lead magnet. It just happens to be free instead of paid. So it's slower, but it is the same concept. And something else that I wanted to mention, let's go back to Justin Welsh's profile. A lot of people, whenever you're being helpful, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook groups or wherever it might be, they will click to your profile. It's a surprising amount of people. I was even shocked how many people were going to my profile whenever these tweets would take off. And so, obviously you want to design all this, the cover photo and stuff need to be great, but then, you just have your sign up form, and then this is obviously an excellent landing page, to nobody's surprise. And yeah, it does really, really well. I would love to show you an example of myself doing this, but I have not set any of that stuff up. The personal brand aspect of my kind of career here has been a little bit of an accident. So I haven't really grinded that out, and I don't even really tweet anymore, but Justin Welsh is a great example of somebody to follow. So I'm not going to go through every platform, but you just think about Facebook groups, private forums that are very large. These are all places where you can subtly include a link to your newsletter in a tasteful way. You don't want to be, your free help will not appear to be actually helpful if you're obviously trying to get a subscriber. So, walk that balance. I even remember whenever I did, where is it? I had some haters replying like, "Oh, you're just doing all this to start to build your newsletter." And it's like, well, I didn't even have a newsletter before this, so I created it so I could send the updates. So, haters gonna hate, I guess. But okay, hopefully you kind of see where I'm going with this. Think about where your audience members hang out. I know I've read that Discord can even be a great place. I don't have Discord and know very little about it, but it's very community based, like Reddit. So those are the places where you can go. And again, it'll be a little bit of a slow grind, but if you establish yourself in these communities as the true expert and just genuinely helpful, people will be happy to learn more from you. Just to reiterate, that's the entire concept of this model of business, is just to get people to want more of what you're giving them for free. So moving on to one more thing I just wanted to mention is, and this site is not, this is just a sample. I have not spent much time on this at all, and the articles are just placeholder, but I wanted to tell you where I've found the most success with, geez, I can't speak, sign up forms on my website. So a lot of people on the article will, you're reading, you scroll down and boom, like you've scrolled down like for 10 seconds and then this big overlay comes up trying to get your email address. I highly recommend that you don't do that. It's distracting, and it's important to think of your reader in think about where they are in the mindset. So going back to the lead magnet or the free value, your article is just another version of a lead magnet. So you're not going to interrupt them reading this valuable resource, your article, and ask for something. You're going to ask for it at the end of the article. So I've always had a lot of luck at the end. I'm not loving that like Mediavine and Raptive, who are trying to help publishers get subscribers, are inserting it in the middle. I think it's a little weird, but again, the industry just all does the same thing normally, but you're not going to be like everybody else. So I love it at the bottom of the article, obviously, and I love fine tuning it to the article they just read, making it slightly different than just a normal form that's on every single page. So maybe you have a different form depending on the category or something like that. Another place that I do like it, and I don't have this set up, I meant to, but just in the header, whenever the header sticks, just have a line that very clearly says what it is with a box up there, or a footer sticky, unless you have ads there. I think those work really well. I've had a lot of success with those. They're not really intrusive because they don't interrupt the experience, but it's very forward facing. It's a little more aggressive than at the bottom of the article, but it's not intrusive. And there's another place you definitely should put it, and I'm going to explain why. This particularly applies if you are running Facebook ads. So right under your header, you should put a really nice call out to sign up for your newsletter. The reason why is that whenever you're running a Facebook ad, a lot of people end up clicking through the ad to your Facebook page, and then on your Facebook page, they'll click through to your website. So it's kind of surprising how many people do that. And I see about a 20% conversion rate of those people. So you're actually capturing a ton of people who didn't sign up on Facebook for your subscriber, and they just decided instead to go directly to the source and see what you're all about and land on your URL. And you want to greet them with a sign up form. The other alternative, which I don't like as much, is you could just link from your Facebook page directly to a sign up page. I'm not a big fan of that because a lot of times they can see in the URL that they're going to go to something that has to do with signing up or subscribing. So just be conscious of that. So I want to tell you I want to tell you a quick story to sort of drive this home and how important it is to really think about placement and keep in mind that you can do things however you want to do them, and how it makes sense for how your reader consumes content, and not how the internet at large thinks that people are consuming content. So back in I guess it was almost 2011, and I was getting a lot of traffic to Godvine from Facebook. And back then, desktop traffic, especially with the older demographic, was still a majority. So I had a sign up form in the sidebar, and I think I was getting around 200 subscribers a day. It was a pretty good call out. I tested the obvious things like colors and image and copy, things like that. And it's getting like 200 or maybe even 300 a day, which is obviously excellent, but the site was doing a couple 100,000 visits a day from Facebook. So obviously different story. But one day, it was a heavily like a video site. It was mostly embedded videos. So one day I was like, man, imagine if the sign up form appeared directly inside the video after the video ends. So it's a natural progression of consuming a video that you're like, this was so great. Oh, I can get more of this video. It took me like 2 or 3 days because I didn't know anybody who knew how to do this with the player that I was using, because it wasn't YouTube. There were no plugins back then. I wasn't even on WordPress, actually. It was a custom CMS. But anyway, I went from 200 to 300 subscribers a day to 3,500 a day. So I over 10x'd how many people were signing up. And again, I understand that I was getting a ton of traffic to even make that possible. But my point here is that the power of these little changes and how impactful it can be. And if you go back to the video about snowballing your operation, then you really put it in the context of what even a 10% change, let alone a 10x, what it really does in the long term. So that's why it's important not to get too caught up in very short-term numbers, and trust in the math, trust in your content, and trust in exactly what you're building for the longer term, and you'll be great. I think that pretty much wraps this little bonus video up. I hope it helps. This stuff definitely works. I talk to a lot of people in the industry, and many people that I know are growing a newsletter for free just by giving away value. It is just simply slower than paying for it, like most things. So, all right, thank you for watching this section.